the author of the new book, Life 45, Jeremy Candelaria. What's up, my friend?
What's up? What's up?
What's up, baby? How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to go, ready to attack the day. I want to finish Friday fiercely.
On, I wish there was a way for me to be able to, I just thought about it, just clicked in my head because I'm looking at something like, dude, you look so thin now. I wish I could show you a before and after picture that we showed at boot camp this weekend. Hey, take a minute real quick before we get started. Talk about kind of who you are, where you're at, kind of what's going on in your life, family, business, church, those kind of things, Jeremy.
Cool. So I am married to Francine, been married for 20 years. We have 4 kids, 18, 16, 11, and 13. And I pastor a church. I'm in my office right now. I also run a concrete business that's 4 years old this year. And so that's been a pretty cool anomaly in that, you know, most business, 50% of them, they don't get to the black for a couple of years. Well, our first year we did 400,000, second year 7, and then this last year we hit 1 million. So that's pretty cool. And then like the biggest passion, the thing that really makes my heart sing is just helping people live a life that's worth living. And so living a life that's not by default. I feel like a lot of us live our lives by default rather than design. And I think in order to live a life by design, we really have to get down to the crux of what really makes us tick as people. And that is another thing I do, and probably the most fulfilling part.
Yeah. I want to jump right in this because you and I have been friends now for about 10 years. We met when I was pastoring full time. You're pastoring full time. One of the things I've seen over the last probably 8-9 months since you've been actually not just a friend, but one of my one-on-one coaching clients, is I've seen a dramatic shift in change in your life. And you said something back in, I guess, December when you finished the 75 hard. And I just want us to jump right in. And then we'll talk a little bit about 75 hard and the growth that you've experienced over the past 8-9 months, not just in your business, but in your personal life, in your discipline. You said something back in December that's when one of the standout statements for me of all of 2020. And there's been some standout statements in the middle of COVID in 2020. But you said this. You said, I asked you, I said, what did you learn through 75 hard? And you said, Ken, I learned to keep promises to myself. And that if I couldn't keep a promise to myself, it was impossible for me to keep promises to anyone else. Talk about that. And
100%.
The process of learning that.
Yeah. I mean, you know, honestly, what I've discovered, and this is just real talk, what I've discovered is I figured out how to win in business. I mean, you know, I was making more money than I ever had made before. And of course, there are people that make more money than that. But still, for me, man, it was incredible. And we were able to do some pretty amazing things with our family. But what was going on behind the scenes, if you pull the curtain back, if you remove the fig leaf, what was really going on was I was hitting a place of comfortability in my business life that was causing me to let go of my personal life. And so by personal life, I just mean I was in a place where I was depressed and I was feeling sorry for myself. And I can't really explain it. It's just a place of comfort. It's like, you know, everything out here is doing great, but not in here. Well, you know, I realized that if I'm not doing well inside, then it doesn't matter what's going on the outside. It's just going to fall apart. And I started to see, man, I keep telling myself I'm going to get out of this place. And, you know, that comes with all kinds of different things that I would say. So I'm going to really hone in on my diet. I'm going to lose some weight. I had gained, I was 278 pounds, Ken, 278 pounds. One day after another, and the next thing you know, I wake up and I just feel terrible about myself. Not only that, but, you know, I was drinking too much just because the stress of everything. It was really just an excuse, an emotional response to something that was external going on in my life. And I just sat in this place where I'm like, you know, how can I lead anyone, my family, my church, the people who work for me, if I can't lead me? Because at the end of the day, like, I have to look at me. I'm the guy that has to look at that guy and go, hey, who are you? Like, who are you really? Everything out here looks great. The business is good. The church is good. Your family's good. But inside, you're dying. What are you going to do about it? And that is the realization that I had to come to, that if I cannot trust me, if I cannot lead me, if I cannot keep a promise, simply keep a promise to myself, well, then how am I going to do that for anybody else? And it was life-changing.
So talk to me about the process of, you guys started 75 Hard when?
October 4th, 4 months.
Real quick, fill our audience in on what 75 Hard actually is for those that may not know.
Yeah, so 75 Hard essentially is just a mental toughness program. And the byproducts of the mental toughness program is obviously that you lose weight. And it's very stringent, it's very difficult, and it has a couple of elements to it. And just very quickly, it's 2 45-minute workouts, one inside, one outside, a gallon of water a day. You have to read 10 chapters in a book a day, a progress pick a day, and you have to, you have to choose a diet, but in that diet, you can't deviate from it for 75 days. Now, if you fail, then you have to start over. No matter what, on any one of those components, you have to restart. And the success rate of you failing and restarting and finishing drops dramatically. And I remember learning in the Army, they said to us when we were in basic training, they said the quickest way to get through this is to graduate. Because if you don't, then you're going to be standing there holding programs for all the people that are graduating and handing them to their family. So right. I knew when I started 75 Hard, the quickest way to get through this was to get through it and finish it. And we finished it. My wife and I finished it. We lost 74 pounds in 75 days. And
talk to me, Jeremy, about the mindset, because it wasn't just, we got connected. I think it was in April. You came down, we did a 2-day strategy session with you and Fran. And we talked, that was one of the main things on personal, professional, financial goals. One of your main things was, man, I need to get control of me, my weight, my habits, my discipline. That was in April. You started in October. Talk to me about the process leading up to, hey, we're aware of 75 Hard. I'm aware of the discipline it's going to take, but I know this is something that I need to do for me. And actually, you guys did as a couple. Talk to me about the mindset to even make the decision to be able to do something like that.
Well, I think that, the reality is I wasn't aware of 75 Hard, even though I have had a consistent workout regimen for years. And even though I love fitness, and even though I'm in that world, there are people that will probably watch this that have never heard about it. And I'm not telling you, look into it. It's great. But I actually had a mutual friend of ours, Christian, when we were in Nashville, say, I'm going to do this. Do you want to do this? I said, yes. And I didn't know anything about it. Had no idea. The key, though, is I had gotten to a place that I would call just the bottom of the barrel. I was just the bottom 10%, that place of crud, that place where when you're really honest with yourself, you're ready for a change. And I just knew that it was time, man. You can't force someone to be ready. When they're ready, the way is going to appear. And for me, that was what I call a power structure that was necessary in my life to get me from where I was, which was stuck and broke inside and depressed and low self-esteem, low confidence, to where I am today. And we're talking literally 4 months, man. And the thing is if I can do it, man, I know anybody can do it. In that time, obviously, we lost weight. We wrote a book that is now a best-selling book on Amazon. And we took some of the components of 75 Hard and really hone those down into, I think, we basically took the Model T, the way I explain it, and we fashioned it into a Corvette.
Come on, baby. I love that. Tell me about, was there apprehensions? Was there, can we do this? And when you sat down with Fran and said, Fran, I want us to do this together, how did she respond?
One of the most incredible things I have in my marriage is a wife who likes to follow me. She's really good at following. And she would say that the reason why she's really good at following is because I'm really good at leading. Now, we could argue that point back and forth, but the bottom line is she was in it 100%. And that's very, very key. The community that you have created, the community that we have in our relationship and marriage, some people don't have a marriage like that, but they do have a community of people who are like-minded and ready to go. That was key and pivotal for us having success. So yeah, obviously day one of 75 hard was daunting. It was extreme. It was difficult. It was hard. I mean, obviously it's called 75 hard, knowing, man, I've got 75 more days of this, but it really began to become habitual, almost like when you get up in the morning and you get ready for the day, you might take a shower, you might brush your teeth. There's not really a thought in your mind, hey, I've got to take a shower and brush my teeth. It's just part of the routine, to where it becomes almost an autopilot thing. So days 20 through 40, they zoomed by. They just zoomed by. And it got difficult actually day 70 to 75, oddly. But here's the thing. I've noticed, and here's one of the reasons why we wrote the book, if you don't mind me just talking about it, is the fact that so many people that started with us on this 75-day process failed. Matter of fact, every single person, every one of them, whether it was they didn't have the community, they didn't have the personal relationship or the coaching, they didn't have that gut-wrenching why, whatever reason is irrelevant, they just failed. They failed. And so Fran and I are looking at each other going, okay, what is this that's allowing us to keep going? And what can we alter, or what can we change, or what can we tweak to make it to where more people can see success? Because this is really, really awesome. It's changed our life.
So talk to me about the process, though. You talked about, once you got the routine going, days 20 through 40 was easy. 70 through 75 were probably the hardest. We talked, several times a week, so I walked with you through that process. At what point in the process did you say to yourself, or you and Fran say to yourselves, we got this? Like, I can do this.
Day one. For me, it was day one, because here's the thing. I tell this story about Chad Wright. Can I tell the quick story about this?
Yeah,
dude?
Most definitely.
So Chad Wright, basically, he wanted to be a United States Navy SEAL. And if you were in Nashville, I think you heard me say this, but basically this was my mentality. Talk about actually, Ken, you are incredible when it comes to mindset and really blowing the lid off of that self-limiting belief. But really, this is what allowed us to have the mindset that we will not quit. We are not going to fail. And that was, I heard a story of Chad Wright, who was a United States Navy SEAL. And at 19 years old, he went through the Navy SEAL he went through the Naval Academy, the boot camp there. And then from there, if he qualified, he would go over to the Navy SEAL training in San Diego, California. Well, they did a full medical workup of him, like they do for everyone, and realized that he actually had a pericardial cyst on his heart. It was benign, meaning non-cancerous, but the Navy medical doctor said, I'm sorry, you cannot go into SEAL training, buds, because this cyst, it becomes a liability now. You become a liability. We don't know if on a deep dive, that cyst will, under pressure, explode, causing you to go to cardiac arrest. You cannot. And so, long story short, they said you could either get out of the military on a medical discharge or stay in the Navy. And he said, you know what, I'm going to get out because I've got a plan. He went back. He dealt with the ridicule of his buddies saying he couldn't make it through Navy basic, let alone SEAL training. And he was on a mission at that point. He wasn't going to quit. He wasn't going to give up. And he said, I'm going to find a doctor who will open my chest up and remove this benign cyst. 3-4 doctors deep, he finally found the doctor that would do it. This doctor was a prior military service doctor. He understood Chad's heart and his force to break into this space. And so as he was driving that morning, by the way, it cost him $150,000 to have this surgery at 19 years old, went into debt, okay? And it's open heart surgery. We're talking about having your chest cavity cut out, your heart exposed. So he's driving there with his dad, 5:30 in the morning. He said, I only had one moment of doubt. And the moment of doubt, I was driving there and I said, Dad, is this really a good idea? And his dad looked at him and said, son, you want to be United States Navy SEAL, right? And he said, yes, sir, I do. He said, well, if you want to be a United States Navy SEAL, and this is so powerful, he said, then you have no other option. So for me, It's what I call a gut-wrenching why. My gut-wrenching why in that moment was, listen, I am sick and tired of not keeping promises to myself. Like, man, I didn't, it wasn't for you. It wasn't for my wife. It wasn't for my kids. It wasn't for anyone other than the guy that was looking at me in the mirror. And I said, I am done. And if this is something that I'm serious about, then I have, here's my mindset, no other option. Day 1, day 70, day 40, day 74, it doesn't matter to me. I am going to finish this thing, and I don't care who drops off. And we did. And as a result of that, man, it just, it really illuminated so many things about me and my emotions and how we allow our emotions to drive our actions. And successful people don't do that. Their actions drive their emotions.
I love that.
So many things.
When in that process did you say, hey, we want to write a book? We want to help people walk through a similar process so that they can taste what we're tasting right now?
I'd say day 33.
And
because
talk to me about that process.
Yeah, so many people had fallen off, and many of our friends and the people that were going to roll with us to kind of do this together. And I'm telling you, everybody. And so, 75 hard, basically you do one inside workout, one outside workout. And one of the things that Fran and I did was at night, every night, we would walk together. We'd walk, 2.5 miles. I put on a weighted vest. And as we walked, we began to talk. And the dialogue between both of us really trying to figure out, hey, what is it that's causing us to have success? What is it that's causing people to fall off? And not only that, but what is it that really is going on? The hard work inside of us to take our discipline back, to take our confidence back and our self-esteem back. What is that? Can we codify it in a way that we can give it to people in bite-sized portions? Because I'm just going to be real. We have somebody going through our program right now. She's 69 years old. If she were to look at something like 75 hard, she'd say, there's no way that I would possibly be able to do that at my age. I'm just not going to do it. So she would just brush it off like, I'm just going to stay overweight, unhappy. I'm going to stay where I'm at. But with something like this, that's more palatable, more bite-sized, something that we've codified. Now this woman, she's lost 20 pounds. She's lost 20 pounds in like a very short amount of time. And she feels so much better. You should see her picture she sends, in our little group, her before and after, like current, and just the smile that radiates from her face makes it all worthwhile. So it's just a process of walking through this, talking, dialoguing, and figuring out what works and what we can codify.
Talk to me about your mindset, Jeremy, on what you weren't sure was possible in your life, or you weren't sure what you could do, or what you and Fran, your wife, could do together. Talk about how that limited belief has been just literally crushed. And now what do you believe is possible for Jeremy Candelaria and for your wife, Fran?
Yeah, I think it's a deep question. It's a great question. As honest as I can possibly say it, the emotional component is the key. So many of us, so many Americans, so many people across the world, they live their lives with the emotion as the driver. And you just think about it. That Hebrew word for emotion literally means appetite. Mm-hmm. It's the things that we're hungry for in our lives. And so in our culture, it's the short answer is getting a hold of that emotional driver, okay, and putting it in the corner and saying, you're not going to dictate my life anymore. But when you pull that back, it's interesting to me, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drug abuse, or whether it's overeating, all of those things are equally deadly, okay, that we usually celebrate or gravitate toward those things whenever we gravitate towards those things whenever we want to celebrate. Hey, you know what? You just made that promotion. Let's go to dinner. Mm-hmm. Or when we're sad. I mean, I can't count how many times, man, I've had a terrible phone call or a terrible day, and the thing that's going to make me better is a number one from Taco Bell, It's just being real, Right. Comfort food is what we call it. Really is uncomfortable, right. But this is what we do. We run to food, or we run to substance when we are hurting emotionally. Well, the mindset shift is this. that I am not going to allow, and I mentioned this and I just want to reiterate it in case you missed it the first time, allow my emotions to drive my actions. That's not what successful people do. I am going to cause my actions to dictate my emotions. And here's how you do it. First of all, you need a power structure. That's what we've provided. But not only that, in that power structure, it's designed to incrementally, and that's a word that I know that you love. You've taught me that word. You incrementally grow that discipline muscle every single day by doing these unsexy, very simple, daily, almost melodic tasks every single day. And that incremental power compounds to where now all of a sudden you have this piece of discipline that is stronger than that emotion. So it begins to trigger you. So we all know what triggers are. So the trigger that we normally listen to is, hey, I really want that piece of cake, man. I really want that donut. I really want that pasta. I want that. I had a bad phone call. My wife and I just got into an argument. I want that drink. I want whatever that emotional thing is. That trigger begins to, over time, get flipped to where, this is how you grow your discipline. If you hear that trigger in your soul, you do the opposite. So discipline, growing in your discipline is learning to say no to the things you want to say yes to. Man, I want that drink. I want that brownie. I want that donut. I want that whatever it is, okay? And also, adversely, saying yes to the things you want to say no to. For example, man, I really don't want to go to the gym today. I really don't want to go to F45. I really don't want to wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I really don't want to work on writing this second book. I really don't want to do I don't want to make those sales calls today. Guess what? That's exactly what you need to do.
Let me ask you a question real quick, because that was my next question for you. I remember you talking last weekend, and you and I, you spoke at the boot camp last weekend in Nashville, but you and I just on our phone calls, you said, when I tell myself I don't want to take the trash out, I get up and take the trash out. When I tell myself I don't want to get up, I force myself to get up and go work out. When I tell myself I don't want to write the book, I start writing the book. Talk to me about how that switch flipped on the inside of you throughout that 75 hard process, and the difference that's made. And part B to that question would be, is that difficult to keep going day after day after day? Or does it get easier for you to do that?
Yeah. So again, I mean, I have so much gratitude for Andy Frisella and 75 Hard, but I think we've codified it even better. So in this process, here's what I've learned after 100 and, I think we're working on whatever October 4th is all the way till today. And I already got the gym workout done. We're talking about over 115, 20 straight days of working out every single day, not missing a day, traveling all over the place all the time, whatever, doesn't matter. There's just no excuses on that. But what we've been able to do is it's the fact that most of us are where we are physically, and we know that we need to make a change. And we know that because we can see it. Maybe our pants don't fit right. Maybe our energy level's wrong. Maybe people are saying, hey, what's going on? You just don't look like you're healthy. You don't look like you're happy. It's a physical manifestation, but that's not actually the problem. The problem is that emotional thing. If you just peel back the layer, you're going to see that emotional that issue that you have is a little bit deeper. You're running to things for comfort that you shouldn't, but that's not it. What we've done then is we've also discovered that beyond that, and this is really where you shine, is that there's this mental component. So our emotions or our feelings are dictated by our thoughts, what we think about, what captures our mind space. Not only that, but we take it one level deeper and we go down into our spirit or the critical core beliefs. You talk about your heart and your head aligning, and those scarecrows that I call scarecrows that we believe really truly manifest themselves in our physical bodies, right? And so that switch or that flip that happened, I can't tell you when it happened. All I can tell you is because of those four components, doing daily, very, very meticulous tasks, it has trained me personally to be able to say no to the things I need to say no to, and to say yes to the things I need to say yes to where it actually becomes, like I mentioned, an autopilot thing. It's really magical. There's two ways that happens. The first one is you have to have the gut-wrenching why. You have to be ready, and you have to know your why. For me, it was, I'm tired of lying to me. The second is that component that we call it the way. Those 4 things basically show you exactly what you need to do. You don't need to think. It's funny because when you go into a prison system, like I have a buddy that spent 4 years in prison. I mean, he's one of my best friends, amazing dude. He went in, he got locked up because he was living his life. Idle hands are trouble.
Yep.
He got locked up because his goal in life every day was, how do I get high? He within those 4 years, he learned what I call a power structure. What they do in prison is they say, this is the time you're going to get up. This is the time you're going to eat chow. This is your free time. This is when you're going to eat dinner. This is when you're going to go to bed lights out. What that is that's a power structure. So a clear way for you to become a more disciplined individual in your home, in your business, in your life, is for you to have a power structure that you can follow every single day. That's simple. I mentioned it. It's like for us, it's 1 45-minute workout. Half of your body weight in ounces of water that you drink every day, whether you want to or not. You're writing down your goals, your personal, professional, financial goals every day, because as Brad Lee says, in order to change your mind, you have to put new information in. What are you thinking about? Where are you going? What's going on with that? What we call is no longer statements. No longer am I going to allow my emotions to dictate my actions.
That's good.
You're writing them down every single day. And what you're doing is you're actually reprogramming the inside to where now, whenever some sort of temptation, we call it temptation, would come up, like, hey, I just don't want to, I don't feel like it today. Then you go, exactly, that's what I'm going to hammer. I'm going to do the opposite of that. Right? So there is no magic in it, other than if you just keep intact what your gut-wrenching why is, not a good why. I'm talking about the dungeon. Man, This is what I want and why I want it. If you keep that intact, and you have a clear way, you do it every single day, and before you know it, your life is going to change. Just is.
How do people what did we hit on the Amazon list this week?
So we hit number 1 new release, and we hit number 3 on Amazon bestseller list out of all the books. I mean, you're talking over 100,000.
Come on, baby. 4 simple steps to keep promises to yourself and take your life back. Life 45, Jeremy and Francine Candelaria. And I heard there was a really good looking guy who wrote the foreword on this book. You know that guy? One of the things I thought about you and I, because I was getting texts, I thought Jeremy was going to be on your podcast today. We talked 10 minutes off air before we went live. And I was sitting there thinking just a while ago, I was like, man, I'm going to tell you what, this is probably the 2 sexiest bald-headed guys ever to get together on one podcast.
You know what? I'm not going to say you're lying, man. I'm telling you. I don't have that smile quite like you do. I need to get that smile going, but I'm smiling on the inside, Ken. I'm smiling on the inside.
So Amazon.com, that's the best place for them to go to get a copy of your book?
Yeah, just go to Amazon.com, the books, and if you just put in Life 45 and my name, just Jeremy, it'll pop right up. You can buy your copy. It's still on sale. It's discount. That's going to be popping up. We're going to put it up probably right now. It's just $5, and I would just say go there, get the book, because in the book we really do outline the things that I'm talking about today in a way that's so palatable for you, man, that you could do with you and your spouse or your friend. Get it. It'll change your life. I promise you that.
I love it, dude. Well, listen, man, I appreciate you, Jeremy. Any last words for our audience before we head out today?
Definitely. What I want to say is, listen, I don't know where you might be tuning in from. I don't know where you're coming from, or if you're going to catch this replay. What I do have to tell you is, first of all, Ken Joslin, and this is not patronization. This is the truth. I wouldn't say it if it's the truth, because truly, I don't know you anything. What I want people to know is, if you are struggling in your business, or if you feel like you're stuck in some way in your business and you need to take it to another level, I would just implore you to get in a room with Ken Joslin, because he has the 2 things, Ken, that you are amazing And I'm sure that there are many more, but the two things to me that people are drawn to you for is, number one, you have an innate ability to see problems from a different perspective, break them down, reverse engineer them, and give life in a situation that's dead. I mean, we did $1 million in our business this year. I spent some time with you. It was one simple thing for spending a day and a half with you that is now even implemented in my business this week that has saved me hours. So I just got to say, I got to tell everybody, listen, get with him, fly him to where you are, go to where he is. It will save you time and it will make you money. That's the first thing. The other thing is, you are such an amazing relational connector. Fran and I talk about this all the time. I don't know where you get this from. I don't know how you do this. I can't do it. But what you do, man, like you talk to Grant Cardone, you talk to Bradley, you talk to, and here's the coolest part. You talk to people like us. You talk to me and Alex, Alex, that's a part of Growth Stack Drive, and the other new people, Yeti, and all these other people that to you, they're just people. It doesn't matter if they're up here. It doesn't matter if they're down here. You can judge the measure and the integrity of a man by not who he speaks to or how he speaks to the great people, but how he speaks to the common people like you and me, like me. And I just tell you, you never not answer your phone. You're always there. I love that about you. And I just think you're a great human being, man. I sit in a place and a seat of gratitude for you and what you're doing.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I love you. We've been friends, like I said, for a long time. Both of us, man, working, planting, pastoring churches for a long time. Guys, listen, 4 simple steps to keeping promises to yourself and getting your life back. Life 45. This is what I call a cookies on the bottom shelf book. It's one that I can actually read and be okay with. Life 45, again, 4 simple steps to keeping promises to yourself. And one of the most profound statements I heard all year long, Sharon Lecter's, you don't need magic, you need motion, was one of those. Jeremy Candelaria's, I learned to keep promises to myself. And I also learned that if I couldn't keep them to myself, I couldn't keep them with anyone else. Absolutely profound. Jeremy, thank you for being with us. Amazon.com, guys, Life 45. Go get a copy of this guy's book. It's even got a picture of him and his beautiful wife on the back cover. Guys, listen, thanks for being a part of our Growth Stack Drive podcast today. I will be back Monday with my new friend, Jeff Lopes. He is a serial entrepreneur and podcast host from Toronto, Canada. It's going to be a phenomenal time. We will see you back here, noon Eastern time on Monday. Thanks, Jeremy. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thank you, Ken.